And I am here with David Moore, who is head of Zaxis, but a well-known digital advertising and marketing pioneer. You have been in this business since the beginning.
Not as long as St. Elmo Lewis.
No, we have to give it up for St. Elmo Lewis. And there was also that call out to the Popeils. Remember when Mrs. Popeil took out the hit on Mr. Popeil? It's a true story.
She's still in jail.
Yeah. But all that aside, we have stuff to talk about over lunch. Jim just ended his comments by talking about the importance of creative in digital television advertising. I know you've got a thought or two about that.
When you think about where we've come in the digital marketing business, we've gotten really good at optimizing media, finding the audiences and focusing on them to get better results. Creative has actually lagged behind. If you still go into a creative agency and you ask the creative director to show you their best stuff, they will show you television commercials still. So when you look at what has now happened with companies like iView entering the space, what you're finding is that the media folks now have another lever to pull, which is creative. Haven't had it before. And given our media experience in digital, we love another lever to pull. And the nice thing about this new lever is that it works. In fact, 9 times out of 10, when you add creative optimization to the equation, you will find you get better performance. The only thing that you have to measure is whether the incremental cost actually resulted in the ROI. What was that? Return or sales divided by cost, right? And so I think the future is very bright for companies like iView. I think the digital creative types are catching up now. And the biggest challenge, I think, for companies like iView and others is how do you get the creative people to pay for it? Because right now, creative people aren't paying for these services. It's all being charged to media. It's an incremental CPM, which we're happy to pay because it normally results in a better return. But as a result, the creative folks are still not leading the charge, and I think they should.
Andrew Davis made that point as well in his opening talk. He was talking about what I like to call recombinant content, creating a multiplicity of creative executions that can be sliced and diced and reformed. How are we going to get the creative community on board with this? Where does the education come? Where does the process come from?
I do think the creative community is starting to kick it into gear. They realize that they've been behind in terms of embracing digital, and in particular, the ability to design an ad on the fly for a particular user or a particular user group. The biggest issue still remains is how do they make money on it? I mean, if you look at the legacy agency business, even the digital creative agencies, they still tend to be a time and materials business. It's a terrible business, really. And so if you're a time and materials business and one of these companies helps you become more efficient and save time, they actually lose money. So we have to deal with that economic dilemma, if you will. And my belief is that the creative agencies will develop what I would call creative DMPs and use those DMPs or their own DMP to not only direct the production of future digital, but also then to be able to work with clients and the data in a manner that preserves the amount of time they're spending on the account and perhaps even increases it.
So we're really talking about a rejigging of the entire agency model, or not, because I remember this argument at the beginning of digital display advertising, when that was a loss leader for agencies because they said, what's the markup on a GIF?
Right, right. Well, and I'm sure you've noticed this, Rebecca, but the whole agency business is changing dramatically right now.
Just a little bit.
And you're actually seeing some talk about putting creative back with media again, whereas most of the big companies, led by WPP, separated it, and it's been a very profitable endeavor overall. So, value chain is completely changed. It used to be the agencies own the big idea, the creative idea. Nobody else was trying to muscle in on that territory, but now everybody is. All the big digital companies have creative staffs that can design their websites, and by the way, they come up with great ideas for advertisers. They go in and sell them. So it's a free-for-all right now, and I think the challenge overall for traditional agencies, so to speak, is to embrace it and find new ways to work with it to make money.
Who's got it right, if anybody?
Well, of course we do. I mean,
that goes without saying.
But if you look at Zaxis, for instance, we've done very well in our main activity, which is programmatic buying and selling. And we've embraced dynamic creative optimization. And, we added to the mix. We have a group called Zaxis Ad Labs, which does nothing but package these unique creative opportunities together along with our media. And we're getting better and better performance. And if you've been following the news, you'll see that we are now launching for Group M a platform called M Platform, which is in part the Zaxis platform being rolled out to the entire Group M family of agencies. And I think you're going to see more and more creative options integrated into the M platform over time that will actually, from a technology perspective, bring media and creative closer together.
So going into this brave new world of television advertising, how important is this big creative idea going to be vis-a-vis the argument of having different elements of content to target different audiences and different audience segments? Does one supersede the other, or can the two exist in harmony?
Well, I think all the data that's gathered will inform the decision. Now, Drew might want to ask me, hey, Andy, good to see you. It's always a pleasure. Drew was talking about I'm sick, I'm dead, or whatever the name of that show was. And that's a big idea. Who thought of that? Was that informed by data? I don't think it was. My guess is he would know. He's
Google
left.
Trends.
He's gone. But, and by the way, building the market, very expensive proposition. Rarely has an ROI. Pharmaceutical business has been doing that for years. You see the commercials, heart disease, with the hope that more people go and get checkups, they hold their market share. You don't see too much of that anymore because it's a tough one to get an ROI. But that was a big idea, and it worked. I hope it was Drew's idea. But I suspect it probably was. It was a very entertaining performance, saying Elmo Lewis would be proud. But I think it's normal. It's going to become more data-driven before, because what would happen? The agency go in and say, "I got this idea," and everybody get excited about it. They do a couple focus groups on this thing. They go, "That's it." And if you think about the Volkswagen Bug campaign that came out about 3 or 4 years ago, they were going after the same type of hippie that put, the flower on the side of the door. It was wrong. It was completely wrong. It turned out to be what do they call them? There's so many different names now. Not the
hip
millennial.
segment.
It was some other type of term that wanted those small cars. So I think over time the data will become the basis for making the big idea recommendation, as opposed to here's the big idea, focus group, and then take it from there.
So once again, we're stitching together the right and the left brain hemispheres. David, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca.